What's up, guys? You guys know it already. Another Connor Bedard video. This time, yes, we're gonna include the Vancouver Canucks. We heard you guys in the comment section last time. Why wasn't Vancouver included in terms of teams that need him the most? In terms of best fits, Connor Bedard is from Vancouver. Guys, this video is for you guys. Well, the Vancouver Canucks could get Connor Bedard, but like we were alluding to before, there's teams that are a lot worse than Vancouver. But at the end of the day, the Vancouver Canucks do have a opportunity to get Connor Bedard. They're ranked 25th in terms of standings, 35 points in 37 games. They're tied with Philly with 35 points in 38 games. They're ranked at 26th. Montreal's at 33 points in 38 games. But if you look all the way down to teams like Chicago who have 20 points, the Ducks who have 24, and Columbus who have 24, can the Vancouver Canucks allegedly tank that poorly to get a guy like that? And like I was alluding to in the comment section when I was talking to some of you Vancouver Canuck fans, they're going to have to trade guys away like Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, JT Miller, Demko, possibly, if they really want a chance at Bedard. They're going to have to get rid of some of those players. They need to make a decision soon, because if they don't get rid of these players, they're going to win games because they have good players on this team. But with Vancouver having yet another weird season, the Vancouver Canucks are going to have to make a decision and be like, you know what? We need to rebuild. Bedard is available. We need to go for him. He's from Vancouver. That would be such a fantastic idea to have a local product on our team, playing with guys like Pedersen, Kuzmenko, Hughes. That would be fantastic for the future of the Vancouver Canucks. He's a generational talent. So, guys, is it possible? And what are your thoughts, Lucas? Should they tank harder for Connor Bedard?
Well, I don't want to say tank because I think anybody can win the draft lottery at any given time. As long as Vancouver's in the top 10, they really have a chance at Connor Bedard. But to be honest, I read the comments a little bit too from what everybody was saying, and listen, I think Connor Bedard to Vancouver is like the dream that everybody would want to see, and I think not only would everybody else want to see it, but he's from Vancouver and British Columbia, so for him it would be a childhood dream to play for the Canucks. He's a Canucks fan. It makes sense. I do see that as an opportunity and that as a possibility. The thing is that people need to kind of take this into consideration that I don't think the Canucks want to tank, number one, and number two, you know it's a situation where kind of like what Chris alluded to, which is they need to trade a bunch of guys. They need to start losing a lot of games. And I think Vancouver's been that team that, yes, they've lost a lot and they've struggled this season, but they're more in the mediocre category. Whereas they're not that bad, but they're also not good either. Right? So they're just there. And I think that, like Chris said, if they don't trade guys like Besser, Bo Horvat, JT Miller to some extent as well, then yeah, no, they're I don't think they're gonna be in the high percentages of winning the draft lottery to get Connor Bedard. But if they do move Bo Horvat, which has been rumored and I think will happen, and they do move Brock Besser, who I think will also get traded, yeah, absolutely. I think they definitely got a chance. And I think if he does land in Vancouver, the city of Vancouver would not only get a generational talent, but their center core for the future of Elias Pettersson and Connor Bedard is basically set. Like, you don't have to worry about anything else for the rest of your career. It's gonna focus on guys like Quinn Hughes and potentially Elias Pettersson to stay long term as well, because they're gonna
Well,
have
I think Kuzmenko is gonna stay too. He's fairly young and he's been a great fit there. Out of all like
yeah.
the players that have been on the team that haven't really been living up to expectations that are regarded as elite or top six players, he's one guy that essentially stays in my opinion. But if they don't get an extension signed, then okay, yeah, he could be a possibility to be moved. But at the moment, that's a guy that Vancouver should
Yeah.
try to resign.
Well, Well, I think even just in terms of that, right? Like you talk about Kuzmenko, but I think it's more so a situation of I don't know what Vancouver's plan is. They've been very average for a long time. Jim Benning did a lot of bad things when he was there. They brought in Patrick Alvin. I don't know what his plan is moving forward, but I think if you're a Canucks fan, the dream is Connor Bedard. I think every team in the league's dream is Connor Bedard. Let's be honest, but I think for Vancouver, it's just the perfect scenario because, like I said, he's a Canucks fan. He's from BC, but for the Canucks. like we've alluded to it in past videos that we've made about the Canucks, this is a team that's a lot more than just missing Connor Bedard. This is a team that's missing a lot of pieces. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They lack defense a lot. So I don't know that if they get Connor Bedard, that it necessarily puts them, back in the conversation to be a playoff team. They might be better than they were this year for sure, but this is a team that's got a lot more problems. And obviously, one of them, and another video that we're going to be making in the near future, is JT Miller, which has been talked a lot about in the media.
Yeah.
We can get into it a little bit today, but basically, JT Miller, hasn't played up to expectations, and a lot of fans and a lot of players around the team seem to be annoyed with his play. But like I said, we're going to talk about that in a later video. But it's just more so a situation of, the state of Vancouver and where they're at right now. I think is a little bit worrisome. And to throw a guy like 18-year-old Connor
Yeah,
Bedard,
like
who, don't get me wrong, has 21 points in 5 World Junior games.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Look, Vancouver's had so many talented prospects these last couple of years. They really went through a rebuilding process once the Sedins retired, right? And Luongo was gone and whatever, and it didn't work out. So what's the answer? We'll get a generational talent like Connor Bedard. He's a Canucks fan. He follows the team. He watches the games. Look, the thing is, when you look at 2015, the last place team were the Buffalo Sabres. They had a 20% chance of getting McDavid, and they didn't. Edmonton got them. So anything is possible. Literally anything is possible. Just because you finish last doesn't mean you're guaranteed the first overall pick.
Yeah.
We've seen that multiple times. But with Connor Bedard breaking records, like passing Eric Lindros' Canadian record for most career points, and also Bedard, yeah, and also Bedard, um, record breaking total in just 14 games. Lindros did it in 21 games. Bedard's 15th goal to pass Eberle, who had 14. That's a all time scoring record for Canada, and he did in the World Juniors, and he did that. Uh, it's amazing to see such a young player to do these type of things. We haven't, people are saying this is the best player since Wayne Gretzky. This is the best player since Connor McDavid. This is the best player since Sidney Crosby. Like, this is a guy that is gonna out of the gates gonna be a NHL player, an NHL star, franchise player. This is a guy that anyone in the NHL would love to have their hands on.
But
And
I think that it's not just a question of him being, franchise player. You have to understand that at the end of the day, like, look, don't get me wrong. I think Connor Bedard's going to be as good as McDavid. I really believe that. I strongly believe that. I think him and McDavid are going to be talked about for years to come. However, you also have to take into consideration that although he's doing what he's doing, and although it's really, really, really impressive to see him do what he's doing at the World Juniors, he is 17. He's not even 18 yet,
yeah,
right? So the
mental,
fact is
crazy.
that he hasn't played a single game in the NHL yet. So I think people like saying that, oh my God, he comes to Montreal, they're going to win a cup. Like, listen, I know I said that, and I know that I said that they would be a cup contender. The truth is that, we've seen a lot of guys dominate at the world stage and, not be good players. I'll give you a great example. Jesse Puljujarvi had 17 points in 7 World Junior games with Finland. Guess what? He's on the third line in Edmonton. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's going to happen to Connor Bedard, but you have to look at it from a perspective of just because he's having a really good World Junior tournament and he
Yeah,
broke the record doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be a stud. He will be. I have no doubts about that.
better be
He's gonna,
very careful what you say, Luca. Very
but no,
careful.
no, he will be. He will be as good as McDavid in my opinion. But
Or better.
also, let's just calm. Let's slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's enjoy the hype while it's there. If
yeah.
you're a Canuck fan, I'm sure deep down in the back of your mind, you're hoping that you lose every game from now till the end of the season. But at the same time, like Chris said, just because you're last place doesn't mean you get the first overall pick.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but it's also the fact that the Vancouver Canuck fans have been suffering the past 2 years. So it'd be nice to see, that. But also a lot of these teams that we spoke about in the Bedard video that we made prior to this one, they're, teams that deserve a generational talent like Connor Bedard. Look, Jordan Eberle, he broke records for Canada at the World Juniors. He was nothing but a top six forward. Eric Lindros got his career cut short because of injuries, and he could have been 10 times the player he was if it wasn't for concussions, right? So we'll see what happens with Connor Bedard. But we'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, Connor Bedard fans and Vancouver Canuck fans. This video was essentially made for you guys because we felt kind of bad that we didn't really necessarily touch upon Vancouver being a team that needs Connor Bedard, and it will be a fantastic fit because of the local connection. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Young Guns podcast, possibly talking about JT Miller and why he's so hated in Vancouver.